So eBay, your new catchphrase should be "Welcome to eBay," where we reward scammers and we screw over our small sellers. Because at this point, that's what I really feel like you guys are doing. Alright guys, so I was a little hesitant to make this video because the last thing I want to do is discourage anyone from getting started with reselling. I still firmly believe that reselling is one of the best side hustles that you can do, that anyone can do on the side, or even if you need something to transition to as a full-time occupation. If you hate your job, for instance, and you want something you can transition to relatively easily compared to other businesses, I firmly believe that reselling is that great opportunity out there for most people. And the reality of this situation is that sometimes you're going to have to deal with some BS as a reseller, as for instance in this video that I'm about to get into. The last thing I want to do is be negative or cynical or discourage anyone, but I do want to be real with you guys, and I want to encourage you guys to seek out the truth in a lot of situations. So I had an experience about 2 weeks ago. I waited to make this video because I wanted to be as level-headed as possible and kind of take away what can I learn from this experience. So I'll just kind of break down the overall scenario real quick just to explain what happened. So I guess I'll start in the beginning. Basically, I sold a $1,500 item, and the buyer had a freight forwarding address. Now, keep in mind, this item it's a $1,500 thermal camera, so it's considered like hunting and sporting goods category, which you actually are not allowed to ship outside of the United States. I didn't know this, but if you tried to click the little global shipping program button, it does not allow you to do it because this particular category does not allow you to do that. Or it may have been the firearms category. I don't remember which one, but this camera is actually considered hunting equipment. So you actually cannot ship it international legally. So anyway, so this buyer purchased it and used a freight forwarding address. Those of you that don't know what a freight forwarding address is, it's basically an address in the United States. Usually it's in Delaware or in Florida. And essentially what that service does is they forward it to an international address. And, I've shipped to some of those before and it's all gone through okay. But there are definitely some fraudulent addresses, fraudulent freight forwarding addresses. So you usually want to look them up on Google just to make sure. But then this guy also added a very weird request that raised some red flags. This was like a relatively new camera. It was used, but it still had all the original packaging, the box, all the accessories with it, which were worth another, $100+ in themselves, just the accessories. And this guy requested that I just ship the thermal camera, which raised some red flags because he could say, oh, I didn't receive the full contents, I want a partial refund, or all kinds of stuff could go wrong. Or he could request a refund, ship it back, and mail me a bag of rocks. Like, lots of things could go wrong. So anyway, this raised some red flags. I searched the Google address, and it was just covered, just page after page after page of just different fraudulent cases through eBay with this buyer, or with this address that this buyer was using. So immediately that raised some red flags. So I decided to call into eBay to have them kind of guide me through the process on, hey, what should I do in this scenario? And before I get into the actual call that I had with eBay, this was the day before I went to eBay Manage Payments. So this transaction was processed through PayPal. And those of you that don't know, if you refund a buyer, you lose out on your PayPal fees. So on a $1,500 item, I would just lose $60 just for canceling the transaction. So I just want to make that clear while I go through this call. So I called into eBay, explained to the eBay rep. They were completely understanding. They said, yes, you did the right thing. You're not supposed to ship to this address. This guy's clearly trying to pull something weird here. He goes, you should just refund them and cancel the transaction. I would not ship to this address if I were you. I said, okay. I said, with the PayPal fees, those are non-refundable. PayPal takes 3% plus a little bit off the top. So it was roughly $60. I said, do I refund that $60 as well? Or do I just send a full refund and will you guys credit me for that $60, or how does that work? He goes, you should refund just the eBay portion, or just the portion of the sale minus the PayPal fees, because you shouldn't be punished for this person purchasing your item when you don't ship outside the United States and this guy's using a freight forwarding address. So He told me to cancel it. He told me to refund through PayPal minus the PayPal fees. And I thought that sounded kind of wrong, but I wasn't sure. I was just kind of doing what the eBay rep instructed me to do. So that's exactly what I did. I refunded the buyer minus the PayPal fees. I explained to the buyer everything. And then the guy, he sent me another message, and he wanted me to then say, okay, we'll just ship it to this US address and try to change the address, which would make me lose seller protection, because if you sell on eBay, you have to actually ship to a verified address to have eBay seller protection. Otherwise, they can just say, oh, well, you shipped it, this address wasn't mine, even though you have a message between you and the buyer. And there's mixed feelings on that, but you're only supposed to ship to verified PayPal or eBay addresses. So that's what I did. I informed the buyer of what I did and why. I said, hey, I don't ship to freight forwarding addresses. And the buyer got really mad. And, you know, it's kind of understandable, but not really at the same time. So anyway, he got really mad, said he was gonna like threaten all this stuff and leave me negative feedback. So I called back into eBay because I wanted to make sure. I was like, hey, let me make sure that I'm actually doing the correct thing. I only talked to one eBay rep. So I called back in, talked to a second eBay rep, and this eBay rep told me something completely different. This eBay rep said, no, you were 100%, you were supposed to ship this item to the customer. They didn't do anything wrong. And if you refund them, you need to refund them the full amount. So I was like, well, this is completely different from what the first rep told me to do. So I was like, now I'm kind of confused as to what I'm supposed to be doing here. I just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing and that I'm following eBay procedure. Can I speak to a supervisor, someone who can kind of clarify all this for me? And they said yes. Tried to connect me to a supervisor. They couldn't get through. So then they forwarded me to this other department that deals with like escalations and seller protection and all this stuff. So I talked to this guy, and he sounded like he worked at the eBay front office. He had like an Irish accent. A lot of times when you talk to the people over in Ireland or Scotland or wherever they are, they tend to work for the eBay home office. I've actually met some of them at an eBay event that I went to. So I was talking to this guy. He goes, okay, the first eBay rep was wrong and the second eBay rep was wrong. He goes, I just looked up the address, 100%. You were not supposed to ship to this address. He goes, it is covered in different fraud cases. It's on multiple pages in Google. He's like, you did the right thing by not shipping out. He said, however, you should have refunded the full amount. So then I asked this guy, I was like, so what do I do about the PayPal fees? Like, will you guys credit me that $60 for the PayPal fees? Or how does that work? Like, if this guy's trying to commit fraud and do all these weird requests and ship to a freight forwarding address for an item that's not allowed to be shipped international because it's against US law to do that, or it's against eBay policy at least. I was like, am I just supposed to lose $60? He goes, that's a really good question. Let me look into it. He looked up all these different forums. He's like, I can't really find anything. He goes, I know that, PayPal doesn't refund your fees. He goes, but I would try calling PayPal just to make sure. I said, so should I just refund this guy the additional $60 and just call it good and just take my loss? I was like, that doesn't seem right to me as the seller, but I mean, if that's what I have to do to protect my account, I will do it. He goes, tell you what, he goes, I have all this notated. He goes, let this escalate to a case. eBay should review it and they should refund you through that, or they should refund the buyer the difference because this is no fault of yours. He said, let this escalate to a case if he decides to open that. He goes, I'm going to notate your account thoroughly about everything that happened. And I'm going to put, if you receive negative feedback, because at this point, the buyers actually messaged me threatening negative feedback. He goes, I'll notate in your account that if you get left negative feedback, that this was no fault of yours, and we will remove that feedback. Just call us back up and remove it. So, long story short, a couple days go by. This guy opens up a case. And so I email eBay's escalation department to review everything. I had them review all the messages. The buyer got really nasty and was threatening negative feedback, which is actually feedback extortion, which is against eBay policy. And so I explained everything, explained all the conversations I had with the eBay reps, and basically eBay automatically decided in the buyer's favor, and they docked me. They gave me a defect on my account. They refunded the amount out of my PayPal, as well as the buyer left me negative feedback. And so I called up to eBay, talked to another rep, explained everything. They go, oh, like, yeah, you weren't in the wrong. You were right. I see all the notation here. Let me contact the eBay feedback team and get that removed. And so I was like, okay, great. Time goes by, I get an email that said you are not approved to get your feedback removed. And essentially what the buyer said was that I was a fraud, and it said basically I'm a fraudulent seller that doesn't refund the amount or ship items out. And so I was like, well, that's, I'm just trying to do what eBay instructed me to do. And so I call back up and I talked to another lady, and this lady was from the eBay head office, and she goes, wow, I just reviewed your whole case. I reviewed all the notes. This is absolutely ridiculous. I had to explain myself. This is like the 4th or 5th call that I had to call into eBay. And she goes, this is absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to tell you everything I'm typing out. And she went into thorough detail of everything that happened. She goes, I'm going to contact a different escalation team of feedback appeals. She goes, you should not get a defect on your account. You should not have had to refund that. I was like, at this point, I don't even care about the refund. I want to protect my account. I sell over 6 figures a year on eBay, and I don't want to lose my account. Obviously, this is how I make a living. So contacted that lady. She goes, I'm going to, email the feedback department. And she also sent me an email of everything that she said to the appeals team. So the next day I get another email that says, you have been denied again to get your negative feedback removed. Now keep in mind, guys, I have over like 1,600 transactions or positive feedback, 100% positive feedback. I'm top rated. I've been selling on eBay since 2004. And, I've never really had any bad feedback that I haven't been able to get removed because I've either worked it out with the seller or the buyer, or I've gone through eBay and got it removed. So in this case, I keep being told by reps that I'm not in the wrong. I was like, I called in several times being like, I just want to be proactive. I want to do the right thing. Just tell me what to do. Should I just refund them? And all the reps were like, no, you shouldn't. I mean, you can if you want, but you're supposed to let it go to a case. But anyway, long story short, eBay did not end up helping me out at all, regardless of what the eBay reps told me, or, basically they just said that every time I called in, they're like, yeah, you're not doing anything wrong. Like, you're doing the right thing. But they can't help me out for whatever reason. So apparently I wasn't doing the right thing. So eBay, your new catchphrase should be welcome to eBay, where we reward scammers and we screw over our small sellers. Because at this point, that's what I really feel like you guys are doing. You guys are misleading me when I call in, and I was pretty upset over it. I'm going to be looking for other alternatives and gradually changing the platforms I sell on and diversifying, because you guys are not fulfilling your duties as eBay reps or eBay as a company by misleading me throughout this entire process. So I was pretty upset. And I was kind of getting fired up about it again now. But as far as goes learning experience, every experience I have, I try to take away what can I learn from this. And that is that sometimes you just have to take a loss. Like if a scammer buys your item or has an address that's fraudulent, just take your loss. If you have not transitioned over to eBay managed payments yet, which that was the ironic thing, is that I actually transitioned to eBay managed payments the very next day. So eBay managed payments, all the processes go through eBay. So if this were to happen again, the good news is that I can just refund the full amount and eBay will credit me everything back because the transaction's not going through PayPal at that point. So, but what I can learn from this is that sometimes you just have to take a loss. Sometimes, even if you are in the right, and I reviewed this guy's account too as well, the buyer's account. He has done this to several people, and he threatens negative feedback. He leaves mostly negative feedback to people that he buys items from. So this guy's been scamming for years, or however long. His account was actually relatively new. I think it was like 2018 or 2019 he created his account. And this guy just scams people left and right with different things. And, I read the rebuttals that other people leave, like this guy had a fraudulent address, I canceled the transaction, and this guy leaves negative feedback. So I don't know why eBay is rewarding these scammers, but that was my experience. So that's how eBay, treats someone that's been selling on their platform since 2004, sells over 6 figures a year on their platform. And, you just kind of got to take a loss sometimes, but the reality of it is that, I'm still going to be selling on eBay. I am going to be transitioning a lot of different items, more so to selling to direct buyers, or even doing some local sales, as well as maybe transitioning over to Mercari and Swappa a little bit. But, I think that those things could still happen on those platforms as well. But for the most part, these things don't happen. I have over 1,600 positive feedback, and I have 1 negative now. So I just wanted to share that story with you guys, that, you know, I have to be real with you guys. I have to share what happens in the business. I should have just refunded the full amount because the eBay reps were going back and forth and didn't know what the hell they were talking about. So lesson learned: if someone tries to scam you, cancel the transaction, refund the full amount. And I know a lot of you guys that are watching this that flip phones and stuff like that, you might say, well, I ship to freight forwarding addresses all the time, and if they try to say anything, then you can say, well, you forward it international, but then you have to fight the whole return. And I didn't want to do that with a $1,500 item. Had it been like a $200, $300, $400 item, I wouldn't really have an issue with it. But on a $1,500 item, with the weird request that this guy was making on that I ship only certain contents in the package, like, it was just didn't feel right. I should have just refunded the full amount and lost $60, just so I didn't have to deal with it. But now I have a defect on my account. I have a negative feedback. That upsets me way more than losing $60, because I have a perfect track record with eBay up until this point, and now I have a negative feedback saying that I'm a scammer. So it's pretty upsetting. But if anyone by the slight chance of eBay is watching this video, please fix these issues. Please start treating your sellers with more respect. You know, there's other opportunities out there for sellers. You have lots of up and coming platforms that people can sell on now, and, you know, eBay is no longer the only option. So please help out your sellers. So that's all I got for this video. Like I said, I don't want to be negative. I don't want to discourage anyone from reselling, especially online, because, you know, you're going to run into things, but overall, it's worth it to be a reseller. So that's all I got for you guys. Sorry it's not a more positive video. I'm pretty well over it now at this point, but I was pretty furious when I first did it, so I was glad I didn't make the video then. With that being said, guys, I'll talk to you all later. Take care. Keep crushing it with your sales. I'll talk to you next time. Hey guys, I just wanted to clarify a couple things that I didn't really get to cover earlier, because I did it all in one take. The first thing is that I really did try to work things out with the buyer through messaging. But the buyer started getting really nasty. I had several messages back and forth encouraging the buyer to contact eBay to see if eBay will refund them their PayPal fees. I said, I am being instructed by eBay not to ship the item out and not to refund your PayPal fees. Please contact eBay. And the guy never did. He never, you know, said anything about that, and never, you know, acknowledged that I said that or said that he contacted eBay. That's when he started getting really nasty, and he had very broken English when he was typing. You know, a lot of the scammers will say things like kindly do this or whatever, and it's not really correct English whenever they speak. So he had a lot of things like that, like, you need to do this or else, like making threats. He goes, I will result in negative feedback left for you, like stuff like that. So that's when I stopped messaging him. I was like, I need to let this go to an escalation case as the eBay rep instructed. The second thing I wanted to clarify is that I did get back on the phone with eBay after the second time that I got denied an eBay appeal, and the lady was like, that's absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen anything like this. She goes, I actually got a note back from the appeals team saying that I shouldn't be trying to help you out or whatever. She goes, so I'm going to take this to my supervisor and see what they can do about it. She goes, I'll give you another call around this time, and I never heard back from them. So that's kind of that's where I kind of gave up on it and stopped really kind of trying with it. But I just want to clarify those couple things because I wasn't able to address that earlier on in the video.